if you're a wedding or event vendor and you think that your contract alone is protecting you at a wedding or event, I love you. But no, that's not the case. If someone trips over your light stand, your beautifully drafted contract is actually not writing the check. Your insurance is. Hi there. If you're new to my YouTube channel, my name is Paige Griffith, and I'm the CEO and lead attorney behind The Legal Page, which is an online legal education platform and contract shop for small businesses. We help you get legally legit in no time without all the overwhelm. Today, we are talking about vendors, COIs, certificates of insurance, and what I call the triangle of legal protection. And if you're a photographer, a planner, a florist, a DJ, a rental company, or literally anyone showing up at a venue for a wedding or event, this one matters. Let me just paint a quick picture for you, okay? You're at a wedding, it's windy, your gear falls, and it hits a guest. They go to the hospital. Your assistant spills really hot coffee on a venue's antique rug. A guest claims that your flash triggered a medical issue for them and they needed to go to the emergency room right away. Your contract limits liability. You should have a limitation of liability clause in your contract. So that helps, right? It matters. But your contract and your actual business bank account is usually not the one that's physically funding a lawsuit or a claim. That is where your business insurance steps in. So first, what is a COI? COI stands for Certificate of Insurance. It's a document that your insurance company provides you that proves that you have an active insurance policy for your small business. A COI typically lists your business name, your coverage types, your policy limits, effective dates, your insurance carrier, and then venues that you work for as a wedding vendor will often require you to provide a COI before you can work on site. They want to make sure you're a legitimate business that has insurance. Makes sense, right? The venue sometimes also requires that they be listed as what's called additionally insured or an additional insured listed on your COI. That phrase right there is really important. When a venue asks to be listed as an additional insured, they are asking your insurance policy to extend certain protections to them in case a claim arises out of your work on their property. Please know this is not weird. This is really normal, and it's okay for a venue to ask you this. But what you need to understand is really what you're agreeing to and whether your policy allows it. So now I want to talk about the types of insurance that most event-based vendors should consider. First off, general liability insurance. This is the big one for bodily injury, property damage, and negligence. If someone gets hurt or property is damaged because of your business operations and negligence, this is the policy responding to that. You may also have professional liability insurance. Sometimes this is called errors and omissions insurance. This is actually for claims related to your professional services. So think shots missed, timeline mistakes, design errors, things tied to your professional expertise and performance, okay? That is an E&O policy. Next, equipment insurance. Sometimes this is equipment riders to your general liability insurance. A rider is just like an additional attachment for insurance related to your equipment. If your gear is stolen, damaged, or lost, this is the type of insurance or rider to your CGL policy that would protect your physical investment for all of that gear and equipment. Depending on your business structure and your team, you may also need some other insurance policies, like workers' compensation is required if you have employees, commercial auto if you have a vehicle. Remember, your personal auto insurance usually excludes any business use. Just go look at it. I promise you that it does. And so if you're using your automobile commercially, you probably need to also add a commercial auto policy. You may also want cyber liability insurance if you collect client data online. There are so many different types of insurance, but number one thing I want you to have is a general liability policy, also called a commercial general liability, CGL policy. Just go ask your insurance broker for that for your business. Step number one. All right, so now that you know about insurance, let's talk back about the triangle of protection. This is how I explain it to any of my legal clients. Side one, your LLC or corporation. This is your structural protection. It separates your personal assets from your business liabilities, assuming that you are operating it properly. So your LLC or LLC that files as an S Corp, some people are incorporated, but mainly for small business owners, that is one side of the triangle of protection, your business structure. Side two, your contract, right? Your contract is absolutely important. It's imperative whether you are a sole proprietor or an LLC or you're incorporated. Your contract sets expectations, it limits liability, it includes indemnification language, it outlines what happens if things go wrong. Contract, number one thing you need to have. I always say kind of LLC goes with that, but a lot of people just start with a contract. Maybe they're a sole proprietor, and then they add on the LLC, or people do these two sides of the triangle at the same time. You're an LLC, you file that in your home state where you're domiciled, limited liability company. You do that through a Secretary of State's website, most likely, or a government site on your website. Sometimes it's different agencies or departments of your state government, most often Secretary of State. And then you would also want to have a contract in place. Please make sure you have a contract in place before you take on any clients, before you agree and there's any exchange of money. Then side three of the triangle, your insurance. This is your kind of financial backbone. This is what hires the attorney if a negligence claim were to arise, if there's any property damage or bodily injury. This is what pays for settlements or judgments within policy limits, and it is what comes first. So if you have any type of claim against you or you need to file a claim, you're going to go to your insurance policy, right? And then of course your contract is going to come into play, and your insurance policy and your insurance underwriter is going to check out your contract, see what you're liable for and what you're not liable for, and whether or not the claim is valid and they need to pay out on that claim. They're going to assess it utilizing your contract language. They're also going to look if you are a limited liability company, and your insurance policy would pay out first, and then your LLC would pay out second. So all of your funds within your LLC are what are at risk, and none of your personal funds would be should a legal claim come up if you're an LLC. And then of course your contract language is the backbone and foundation, and everything is working together. If you are missing one side of the triangle, you're a wobbly triangle, all right? An LLC without insurance, super risky. Insurance without a strong contract, also risky. A contract without an LLC, you probably still have a lot of personal exposure as a sole proprietor. We want all three working together in the triangle, all sides. All right, so I want to talk practically about what vendors and venues are doing. When you sign a venue contract, you need to read the insurance section. Do not just scroll past it. Some venue contracts require specific coverage limits if you are a vendor at their venue, like $1 million per occurrence, additional insured statuses. They want to be listed as an additional insured, primary and non-contributory language, waivers of subrogation. If you have no idea what these phrases mean, that is your cue to either talk to your insurance broker or have an attorney review that venue's contract and just make sure that you are up to snuff with your insurance policy and you have all of the requirements that the venue is asking of you to come onto their property and serve the clients that you are going to be serving there. And then another issue is sometimes vendors are accidentally agreeing to indemnify a venue for things completely outside of their control. And I will tell you this from experience. Insurance is usually way more affordable than you think, and they want to make sure that you are not indemnifying other people or other venues when it is inappropriate to do so. If you are, then your insurance policy, of course, and premiums would go up. All in all, what I'm saying is you need to have a contract. Pretty inexpensive to get. We here at the Legal Page have all kinds of contract templates for wedding vendors just like you. I'll link them in the description. You also need to make sure that you are an LLC. For all intents and purposes, I would recommend this for about 95% of businesses, maybe even more. If you're a small business, go be an LLC in your state and make sure that you're moving from a sole proprietorship to an LLC. And then please make sure that you have a proper insurance policy. And then that insurance policy will have a COI, a certificate of insurance, that you can present to a venue when they ask you for one. And I will tell you this from legal experience. Insurance may seem like a lot to pay up front, but it is actually way more affordable than you think, especially compared to one lawsuit. You are literally bleeding money if you get into a lawsuit and you have no insurance company to pay your attorney's fees and to pay for the damages or fines that you could be liable for under that lawsuit. There are also insurance companies that specialize in event and creative business insurance. You really want an insurance provider who understands what you do, not someone who is guessing at your business's risk profile. And please, please, do not just simply, as a wedding vendor, rely on the couple to have the utmost insurance protection or insurance policy possible. Sometimes the couple may get like day of event insurance, but that's not going to protect you. That's going to protect them. Their policy is theirs and it's not yours. You need your own insurance coverage. All right, so here's your action plan at the end of this video. If you do not currently have general liability insurance for your business, please go get insurance quotes this week. And I will make sure that I link some of the insurance companies that I would recommend for small business owners like you below in this video's description. When you're getting proper general liability insurance, make sure that you're asking about adding additional insureds, how to request COIs quickly, how much, if a venue were to ask you to be additionally insured, how does that work? Is it easy to do? And how much it would cost each and every time? Or is that just something that I could add on to my policy? Then review your policy limits. Make sure that the insurance policy aligns with the majority of venues that you work at in your region. So a lot of times they'll require, $1 million aggregate, $100,000 per occurrence, and make sure that that works. That amount and policy number works for the venues that you are going to perform services at. Maybe the average is actually a little bit higher than that. Just check with your venues and make sure that you're good to go. Then make sure that your business name is on your policy and it exactly matches your LLC name. Also, keep digital copies of your certificates of insurance ready to send to venues. This is really easy to have, and you can even create shortcuts on your desktop to do this and send it in an email format and attach it. And then go back and please look at what your contracts are saying. Make sure that your contracts with your clients have limitation of liability indemnification clauses that actually align with the insurance policy that you carry. And make sure that there's not any weird indemnification language in a venue's contract that they're sending to you to sign when you're going to work on their property. There's kind of two contracts at play here, but the most important one is that contract that you have with your client or clients. The reason I'm saying this is because your legal documents and your insurance policy, they should not be fighting each other. They should be working together. Those are two sides of the triangle that are very, very important. Now, if you want help tightening up your vendor contracts, please check the links in the description below for all of my contract templates at the Legal Paige shop. They are written specifically for service providers and event-based businesses who need that triangle of protection fully in place. If you have questions about COIs, additional insured language, or you have a venue contacting you and they have a contract that you're staring at right now and you're wondering, what do I do in, this situation, or is this policy even legitimate? Are they asking me to sign a legitimate contract? Can they even do this? Please drop it in the comments. Tell me what type of vendor you are and I can maybe do a follow-up video tailored to specific photographers or planners or florists or whoever needs it most if you have comments that are all aligned below. Thank you for being here. I hope you learned lots. Protect your business like the real CEO you are, and I will see you in the next video.